So you want to modify your SSK001 to a Pepsi GMT ceramic. This is pretty much all you need to know. Number one, you can follow my detailed step-by-step guide on my video from last year when some of these parts were first released. But you can also check this video for a comparison between Namoki's conversion bezel and their sapphire crystals available for this mod. The overall look is about the same, but there are a couple differences in terms of the thickness and the crystal types, which I'm going to show you today. What I'm going to be doing is I've got actually two SSK001s here. This is brand new. In fact, it's even got the latest style box, which I'm only just finding out about, and it's a much improved box from Seiko. You can see it is the SSK001K1, the one that's available here in the UAE. There are slightly different versions depending on where you buy them. For example, the US made ones usually say made in Japan on the dial, but regardless, it is the same watch and the same process. You even get this nice little cloth from Seiko now, which they never used to do. Anyway, the bezels. It's important for you to know, first of all, that to do this mod, you have to change the glass. There's no way to keep that little bubble on the glass, the Rolex style Cyclops. You have to get rid of the glass because these bezels are sloping upwards. So the glass literally needs to be a little bit thicker. So we've got a double dome sapphire here, and we've got my flat sapphire, which I used many times already. And you can see that watch here, actually, that's the flat sapphire version. And here's a quick comparison side by side. You can kind of tell it's a massive difference from the original just by changing 3 parts on the watch. It makes a huge difference, and you can actually buy these to order from myself. I'm based here in Dubai. My website is svkwatches.ae. All the links, of course, are in the description to the parts, my video, and of course, if you'd rather just get me to do it, I can always ship your watch worldwide as well. So back to the bezels. In order to do the mod, you need the actual bezel. You also need the insert. Now the insert is special because this is the only insert I have found from a premium quality part supplier, that is DLW watches, that has the correct color red. If you try and buy a Pepsi ceramic bezel from pretty much anywhere else, it's going to look orange, pink, metallic, a bit like Coke can sort of color. It's not going to look good. If you're looking for a Pepsi bezel, this is the only one to look at. The actual bezels themselves, or the bezel rings, we've got 2 flavors here. They are the same design. These are both sub-style versions, except the one in my right hand is just slightly thinner. That's because this is the latest slimline version from Namoki Mods, which I'm yet to try. So I'm excited to see that and see how that fits together. So checking the thickness for real, we've got 3.68 millimeters on the slim version, and the original version was 4.2. So what's that? About 0.6, well, let's call it half a millimeter difference. May not seem like a lot, but let's see how it fits with the crystals and see the difference on the wrist a bit later as well. You do need to change these bezels, by the way, guys. You can't keep the original SSK bezel, or, well, technically you can, but it won't look as good because the diameter of this bezel insert is slightly wider than the SKX size, which means you'll have this ugly gap around the edge. And if you're going as far as buying the premium parts and doing this properly, you do need to change the bezel. I personally much prefer the look of the sub-style bezel compared to the standard one anyway. These are all the same sort of friction fit bezels, which rotate smoothly. They don't have any clicks. If you want a clicking bezel, for that you're going to have to change the whole case. And I will show you a cool sub-style example a bit later on as well. So here we are, guys. Both watches are done. I've got the original parts here. I'll put them aside. I do usually include these with the watches I modify. But let's have a look at the crystals. You might already see, based on the reflections, that one of them is flat and one of them is domed. So the one in my right hand is the domed crystal. The one on my left is the same design as we've always had on my channel, and that is the flat top sapphire, which I personally really like this crystal. However, it depends how you want your watch to wear its thickness. These are not especially thin watches, and I figured the whole point of releasing a slim bezel from Namoki was to try and slim it down. Now, if I'm holding them roughly the same distance from the camera, you can't really tell the overall thickness. I will show you the measurements in a moment, but what I will say though is that though this one has a larger bezel, it has a flatter top. This one has a thinner bezel, which aesthetically I think does look a bit better, but it has a higher crystal in the middle. So this one wears more like a bubble, whereas this one wears more like a block. Let's see if they're actually any different in terms of thickness. So the overall thickness after the mods is going to be similar to the standard, 14.98 to the top of the crystal there. That does bring it up a little bit from the standard. Remember, we do have that sloping effect bezel, so the crystal itself is a little bit taller. So that was just shy of 15 millimeters. This one, on the other hand, is going to be, now this is a bit harder to measure because I'm going to have to go to the middle of the crystal, which I think is about there. So it's actually thicker. It's about 15.3. I will honestly say, though, this one will wear thinner because of how it sits on the wrist. And Seiko, though their movements are quite thick, their watches are water resistant. In these cases, it's 100 meters, but some cases, which are very similar, up to 200 meters. You can't get away from the thickness overall, but I'd say the new double dome sapphire and slim bezel combo certainly make it wear a little bit thinner. To get it thinner still, you could add a plain slim case back, which I'll link in the description as well, and not use this Pepsi bezel. But I mean, why wouldn't you want to use this? This is one of the nicest bezels I think that exist for Seiko modding, let alone SSK mods. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Which one would you pick as your choice for the GMT? I'm kind of happy with both. I will be offering both of these. They're the same price. You'll be able to pick any combination when you order your own from me on SVK Watches. But if you were building your own, which would you go for and why? Let me know in the comments. Now, I did promise you a wrist shot. This is the original design, I'm going to call it, the flat top sapphire. And on my 7¾ inch wrist, it really does swallow its thickness with that case back profile, to be honest. It doesn't really ever feel that thick. If anything, the slightly wider bezel and the smooth flat top reflective surface of the ceramic and the sapphire kind of help bring it into a nicer proportion than the standard watch. And here is the double dome sapphire version. I mean, you couldn't really tell much of a difference between them. I kind of prefer the kind of rounded and slight distortion you get from some angles on that crystal. Honestly, they wear the exact same. So don't buy these parts to make your watch slimmer. Buy them because you like the effect of that double dome sapphire, for example, and the slightly thinner bezel profile kind of makes it look a little more premium, I'd say, than a chunkier bezel. And finally, you might be wondering, why is there now a third version? Now, this third version is actually a more Rolex-inspired style because it has a sub-style case and Mercedes hands as well. This is actually the Namoki Mod Slim sub case, which brings the crown to 3 o'clock and adds a clicking, rotating bezel as well, which is a little bit more satisfying to use, of course, than the smooth. Now, I've actually kept this one on the standard SSK bracelet, and we've got a solid case back. This is one of the slim solid case backs. I was talking about a screw down crown. This one actually brings the water resistance up to 200, and it's got an original dial and an NH34 movement. Same bezel, but you can sort of see the similarities and differences because the crown position, certainly more Seiko on this one, the hand style. And for some people that prefer to go a little bit more Rolex inspired, you can go for the sub case as well. Some people simply can't get over the crown being at 4 on Seikos. I like both. I quite like keeping a lot of Seiko in the watch, and therefore this one is just a classic design for me. The Rolex inspired stuff, we've got this, and we've even got some other options. Here's an SSK001 Joker, for example, which is essentially the same watch as that, except we've got the purple accents instead, sort of mimicking the Batman / Joker design with the purple colors. I think this looks awesome. This is one of my favorite watches, and of course you guys might have seen this before as well. So what I love about the SSK001 is it's super versatile. Now we've got even more parts to play with. Thanks to Namoki for making some of these parts available quickly. Thanks for DLW for the perfect Pepsi bezel insert. Let me know which one you guys like. Please comment, follow, subscribe, all the good stuff. Follow me on Instagram. My new one is at svkwatches.ae. And the website is where you'll find a few of these for sale right now at what I'd say are reasonable prices. Plus, I guarantee everything and I ship worldwide. Till next time, guys, enjoy your modding.